Good morning. Today is the 18th of March 2024 and I'm going to go through my game plan for today. Looking on my screen is the ES, but before we start, look at news. So we've got one news event which is more than 2 out of 3, or 2 out of 3, and that's the NAHB housing market index at 10 AM, so be a bit wary, the market could move, but nothing of high importance today. Obviously this week we've got FOMC coming up, I believe, Wednesday, so we could see so things could be going a bit slow waiting for this Wednesday interest rate decision. So without further ado, let's crack on. I've only just taken a look at the charts just a few minutes ago. Kind of got a couple of levels in. I can see a couple of decent areas. So my first area, let's get my pen open. The first area I'm really watching for is a bit of a pullback to continue the trend entry, and I'm kind of looking at the pullback to the 5208 down to 5200 area. So this area here. The reason I like that area is yesterday's or Friday's high. It's also, let's increase my pen size. It's also on this trend line which goes back to October 2023, and obviously 5200 is a psychological number. So there's a few reasons, and it's also coming into this 200 moving average, which is kind of going sideways. So my first watch on for today would be 5200 through to 520. I'm going to adjust that slightly. I'm going to go down to yesterday's high and Friday's high. 5200 to 5205, that's a bit of a tighter region as well. So that's what I'm really watching for. I do keep 5202. So that's my first area I'm looking for a bounce today. And so I really want to see it pull down and bounce in that area. Next area I'm watching for is 5230, 5232, this area here, this pivot, area of confluence, tops of candles, bottoms of candles, tops of candles here. And what I'm looking for is either a rejection, and that's with confirmation only. So for that I'm looking for a reversal candle, something like this rejection candle up here. Or if there's no confirmation, then I'll be looking for a break and retest long. So break, come back into that area, and a retest long. And I think that's the only areas I'm really watching. I'm watching this area, and I'm watching 5200, that area. We could also look at levels from Friday. If we see continued buying pressure, then we could watch for rejection up here at 5252, 5255 area. Which is right in this area of supply. Created a new all-time high a few days ago. Kind of came close to it on Thursday, and we're nowhere near it on Friday. Then we had a big sell-off. So we had a big reaction. Once there, another time there, and potentially we come back up into this area again. We can watch for another potentially big reaction to that. But this area seems to be holding. And I think that's it really. If we see a bit of a sell-off, then I'll be looking for a bounce. So my first place is what we discussed. I do see a 618 fibs level. So what's that coming from? Okay, it's just from that candle Friday. I'm going to ignore that. Whether it's relevant, I don't know. But it's kind of watching Friday's high for a bounce. And then the only other place I can see is down here in this demand area, down in this area here for a bounce. That's 51.55. It's a tight area, 51.50 to 51.60. We can look for a bit of a reversal if we get back down to there. I think that's it really. Looking at SPY next, very similar. If we pull back down to Friday's high, down to there, 512 area for a bounce. And then we've got, not quite as clear cut, but maybe the break and retest of this area, 515-ish for a break and retest. That's a long, or we can watch it over for a rejection. It's also an area of confluence as well. We've got tops of candles, top and bottom of the candles there, tops over here and tops over here. So we can watch this area, let's put that area in as well. And that is 514.30 for a rejection. Or break and I think a break and retest will be with the trend, so I'll fine tune that area a bit. I'll base it on recent pivots. This area here. On the top of that area, bottom of that pivot there, top of that pivot, tops of these pivots, area consolidation, and near the tops of that pivot. So that's the area we're watching. And that's it really, and obviously you've got all-time high, rejection double top. So we can watch 518.30 for a reject. Next is NQ, the Nasdaq. Oh, wrong button. Don't fancy a great deal on this one. All I can see is this area here, and it goes back from tops, candles, tops of candles, tops of candles, bottoms, kind of this area. It's kind of, let's just draw it in like this. We can watch this, it's a big area, probably for a rejection or a break and retest. We can get outside of it. So let's get some levels. Kind of that area there. So 18.424 for a high risk rejection or break and retest long. Bounce wise, all I'm seeing is we've broken down through this kind of neckline area. Let's draw it in straight. So we've got this neckline area here, and we're kind of broken down through it, and we're potentially coming in. We're kind of not really retesting it, but we could see it kind of reject back down. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this. I think the only place is this area here for a rejection or break and retest. We've got a target at 18. Oh, that one. We've got a target at 18,500, and that could be another rejection area. And then the bounce area, it's going to be this area of confluence down here. This area here. So Friday's high for a bounce, kind of what we've seen on SPY and ES. And you can see I'm just using bottoms of candles as an area to find a potential area of confluence. So let's just put that level in as well. So bounce off Friday's lows, but we are in a bit of an hourly downtrend, putting in lower highs, lower lows. We're not sure where we're going to be here, so this is the main area. If we can break over 18,500, we could see more upside. Otherwise, while we're still below the 200 on the hourly, we can still look for some strong areas. So some purple lines, the 200 moving average. So look at Qs, maybe it's a bit clear on Qs. No, but one thing I do see is this trend line. Look at that, we're coming right into that trend line right now. Did I miss that on NQ? Yeah, I suppose we've got it, it's not as obvious. But now I'm looking for it. Okay, we can use that as a guide, whether we're going to go long or short. Same here. Still like the rejection up here at 440. That pivot, if we break that pivot, then we can look for longs. We'll be above the 200 then. But we've got this clear trend line. Be interested to see what happens. So if we pull back down, here we go, we've got another trend line. So this yellow line is the monthly trend line. It goes all the way back to 24 years. And look at that, it's pretty much nailed where we're looking. Bottoms kind of come through, broken out. So we could be looking to narrow it down. So let's keep an eye on this. Gives us a general guide. If we break outside of this trend line, we can look for a pullback for a long, and then a breakout. So that area would be this area of confluence. You can see we've got the orange line which shows us the level we can watch for a bounce at 437.50. Let's mark that level in as well, 437.50 for a bounce, or that area. And these levels are not like lines, areas, you know, defined numbers. It's a region, that zone. So we're not just looking for 437.50. We'll be looking for a bounce within that area. And that's where confirmation comes in. Let's quickly look at SPX, see how that ended on Friday. So potentially, we're not sure where we are. That's the head, right shoulder. Could this be the left shoulder and this neckline going down like that? We see we've gapped up in the post and pre-market, so we're probably going to be opening up a bit higher. So if we get back down, 5100 is that key level we've been talking about around here. If we get down to this area, then we can look for a bounce, and that's a good key area. You see tops of these candles, bottoms of these candles, a good area of confluence as well. And it's been quite a for volume, a significant area. Wow, look at the volume on SPX. Haven't seen that high volume for some time. Going back to December, September, June. That's what happened. They were all look like highs. It carried on the trend. That was coming down, continued the trend. Yeah, I'm not sure. Not too much into it. But if you join this trend line up, we have broken the trend line like we've seen in SPX. I've deleted the trend line. This area here, we've broken the trend line. Came back and retested it, and we have broken that trend as well. Let's go back to SPX. So looking at 51.75 for potential rejection. That's Friday's highs, and we're looking for a bounce at 5100. And that's it really. If we get down to the 200, we can look for a bounce. We've not been on the 200 for some time. January 24, and then last time we went through it was back in October, November 2023. So we can look for a bounce in those areas. And then quickly, we've got quarter of an hour left. Look at gold. Putting in a bit of a trend. Lower high, lower high, lower low, equal high roughly, lower low, there, lower high. We can draw this trend line in. Look at that, almost spot on. So this is a trend we can watch. We can look for a rejection probably around this area, kind of similar to the other. So that's 51.77. Oh, sorry, 21.77 for rejection. That's off that pivot. Or if we get there, we would have had to break this trend line. So we could be looking bullish. We could use that as a pullback and a long. Maybe look for an add at that point. That'd be a break and retest of that area. Bounce wise, the only bounces I can see is probably where we come through. Just area of confluence there, and area of confluence there. Bottoms and tops. You can see we touched it there, touched it twice there as well. So potentially we can watch for a bounce at yesterday's lows. High risk, was quite close to it, but we're still under this trend line, so we need to break out through that to change the trend. Oil, it's had a big few days, finally broken over this area. Let's look at the daily quickly, see where we are. It's been pretty strong since the end of last year, beginning of the year. The only area I can see for, in fact we're right at it, this is area of confluence. Basically bottoms of candles, tops of candles, tops of pivots here, bottoms, 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 and tops. So we're kind of coming into an area of confluence, but it's been slowly grinding up, so maybe we could use this area of confluence. If it breaks out through it, comes back down, we can watch for a bounce play at $82. Last time we got there, we kind of pushed through, kind of retested it. So we watch for something similar, or we can look for a bounce if we pull back. And the only bounce area I can see, sorry, that's the daily, it's going to the hourly. So same as before, 82 break and retest. And then we can watch for a bounce at yesterday's low, Friday's low, which is at 80. So that's the area we're watching. The tops of these candles came in, retested it there, so it's proven to have an area. And if we do break down, we've got a bit of a void, we've got this big volume at the bottom. And even though I look at the biggest volume bar, I do look at the one or two above it as well. So we could be looking, this area here could be a bounce area, 77.54. 76, 77 to 78 area. Okay, so let's look at RTY next. Let's come right into an area of confluence. I kind of got it there, but I'm inclined to move it to the more recent pivots. So bottoms, I know was poked through a few times, tops and tops. And there's a big area of volume as well. So this volume profile, we can watch for a rejection up in that area. So what's that? That is 2080 for a reject, and we're in a downtrend on the hourly. Broken this trend line up as well. So and we're below the 200, it's just above the 50 at the moment. But if we can get back down, then might confirm the trend a bit further. But this looks a bit like a pull down, and we're putting in a bit of a flag pattern. So if we were to put trend lines in, kind of like an ascending wedge, we'll see how, I'm sure that can extend down to there, so we kind of can watch it tighten over time before it makes a decision that way or a decision that way. But it's with the trend, and the trend is down, so we'll be looking for a break and retest below the pre-market low, or we can look for the break and retest above the pre-market high on this one. But we have got a reject point around 2082 to 2085, so just keep an eye on that. This area here for a reject, we may just poke out before rejecting down, or we can watch for the bounce, which is any areas around about there. Okay, well, I was only looking at these pivots here, and it kind of came into it. I know we poked through it there, but we kind of respected it there as well. So we can watch 2050 for a bounce, that area, which is Friday's low. And then YM, which is the Dow Jones, kind of in this sideways zone. There's not much here I like really, but if we can get back down to this area here, we can watch it for a bounce. 38,945, 38,900, and if we can break this pivot, we can look for a break and retest long. That's 39,431. But if it's in between, there's not something I really want to play. You could watch for a potential. So it's hard because you don't know, it's not in an uptrend, not in a downtrend. You can look at the smaller trends. We've got an hourly downtrend, potentially doing that. But I personally would avoid this one for now. But we need to break out below or above these areas. And then finally, quick look at Bitcoin. You saw it sell off at the weekend. I had a few outs myself. That was my first out at 61, I think it was, around about there. I then got out at 69, about there, and then I took some profit off at 72, about there. And glad I did that. I'm not saying we're coming to an end of this bull run, but what I was looking at was the volume. So I took the initial one out on that volume spike, So that was as we put in this big red day. That, to me, I just see a big red flag. You know, if it's a strong run up, you wouldn't get a big sell off of a top bottom tail. That's a sign of weakness. But it was on volume, I guess. And then we had another hammer candle there, another hammer candle there. So it's kind of showing signs of weakness, and that's proven because we had it sell off at the weekend. Kind of putting in this yesterday, Sunday was a bit of a green day, so we could probably look for a break over a buy setup to continue the trend up, which will be over Sunday's high, and that would be 68,877, or we can watch it break down below 64,700. I don't have much Bitcoin, but what I do have, I took off half here, took another half off, then I took another half off, so I've got a little tiny bit left in case we see a bit of a run up and I don't get FOMO. But what I'm waiting for, if it pulls back down to this area, preferably that area, 40,000 or 50,000, I'm looking for add some of the profits back in again. So I'm actually using house money right now, not my own money. And that's it really. Let's have a look at ES, see if anything's changed in the last few minutes. No, not really. Let's put the trend line in as well. You can see we've kind of broken that trend line and that push up. So I'm kind of X marks the spot, I think. I was about to say I'm watching this area for a potential bounce. So that's my bounce here, yesterday's high. And then potentially got pre-market low as a bounce area, but not a big fan of that. And then yesterday's low is coming into this area of demand, so if we get down into 51.50 area, we can look for a bounce in that area as well. But patience. Today I'm going to stick to my levels. Got a few levels here I'm watching. I'm going to get rid of that one because I'm not interested. I just want to see if it breaks out above 52.31. I want to see it either break and retest, go long. I've got a target then of that point, or if with confirmation, again I'll do it both with confirmation, or if it rejects that area, then I'll be looking for a potential short around here, where it'd be a scalp, because it's kind of going against the higher trend. And then, but I'll be watching for a bounce down in these areas. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to put my alarms in. Let's give it a that. Always advise putting alarms in, so when we get close to these levels, it draws your attention. Let's do an alarm about there, 52.05. Let's get rid of this orange line, that's the weighted VWAP from that candle. There you go. And that's it, so that's what I'm watching basically, two levels, and we're looking for a play up here, whether it's a short or a long, I will decide when we get there. And then I'm watching for a bounce off of this trend line, off of the 200, off of the psychological number 5200 area as well. And that's it. And obviously it's Friday's high as well, so it could be a significant area. And that's it really. Otherwise, if we sell off, then I'll be watching around 51.60, 51.55 for a bounce. And that's it. Okay, hopefully I've got a bit of a sore throat, so I'm a bit quieter today. Hopefully this has helped you. If it has, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to get notified of the next video. Right, immediately after this, I will be doing live order flow video. I may put audio on later and comment over it as well. There's a few areas we can watch, but that's it. Hopefully you've had a good weekend, and I will speak to you shortly. Okay, thank you.